Good afternoon. It's Ray, and I hope you all are doing well. I'm sitting here on a Tuesday afternoon thinking about socks. Now, I have been remiss in knitting socks, even though it's crazy because I dye sock yarn all the time. But in my lazy way, I normally just buy the 6 pack of black socks and a 6 pack of white socks. Makes it real easy to pull out a pair. Just throw all the socks in the sock drawer. Pick a black one, I'm done. But store-bought socks tend to wear thin. And now that we're getting into cooler weather, when I run around the house in stocking feet, I can feel the cold. And since I can't afford to buy more socks, and I have a lot of sock yarns available to me, I have decided I'm going to make my own socks again. So I've got my size 2 circular needles, and I think those are correct because I recognize the curve on these needles here that I remember having to work with them on previous sock yarns that I made far too many years ago. And because I know my sock recipe for my foot, I do a Turkish cast on over 2 needles, do a Turkish cast on. And if you're not familiar with that, I can show you exactly how I do that in another video. But I do a Turkish cast on with 14 wraps, and then I pull one out and I work across, and I increase every other round until I have 36 stitches for each toe on each needle, making it front and back, or the top and bottom. And once I've got that, I will add 2 rounds of a contrast color, making it easy for me to go from the end of the toe knitting to the start of the heel knitting. And for my foot on these needles, it is 80 rows from the last, or the first row after the end of the toe. It's 80 rows until it's time to start knitting the heel. So I'm going to make my toes in undyed yarn, white yarn, and my contrast yarn is this sort of a chocolatey color. Now, quite a while ago, several months ago, I had 4 sets of light and dark yarn like this for people to buy. And I had 3 of these sets. 2 of them were sold, and these have been sitting around. I pulled them out of circulation off of the blog reader specials page, and I decided I'm going to use these for my own socks. And then I'm going to use other yarns being pulled from the blog reader specials page, and then I'm going to probably use 4, 5, or 6, or 8 different yarns from the blog reader specials page to make some wild and crazy socks. And I like the idea of just pulling a sock and pulling a sock and just wearing whatever they are. And I'm thinking if I can incorporate a bunch of different yarns in a bunch of different socks, have some wild and crazy socks, it doesn't matter if they match, and it's better if they don't. But I'll be able to show to you guys what some of the different dye techniques look like. Because I do a lot of confetti yarn, I do a lot of sprinkle yarn, I do segmented yarns, and the segmented yarns work up really nice into self-striping spiral stripes. That's hard to say. I also do a lot of fades. And I think by knitting them up into socks, I can show what the fades look like when they're knitted. So partly it's a demonstration of the fact that I do know how to knit socks that fit me, but also I want to demonstrate what some of these different dye techniques look like when they're knitted up. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll get my toes started first, and then I'm going to pick other yarns from the Blog Reader Specials page, the ones that apparently some people think are not attractive, but they are. There's no bad colors. They're just bad combinations. Kind of like people. There's no ugly people, no wrong people, but sometimes they get in the wrong crowd and they butt up against other people. You move them into a different group and they work out beautifully. And I kind of like that analogy. I'm going to work on that before I preach a sermon on it. Y'all know I used to be a minister long time ago in a past life. I am no longer, although I'm still credentialed, but I am no longer a minister. But I still think about sermon-y type topics because I think it's important. Anyway, if you go to knittivity.com and look at the Blog Reader Specials page, you can see what yarns I may be pulling from. And speaking of yarns, I put in another yarn order on Saturday, and it should be here on Thursday if UPS tracking is to be believed, which means I will be dyeing another collection of Blog Reader Specials over the weekend, either Friday or Saturday, I'm not sure. A lot of it depends on the weather. But anyway, that's what I'm working on, and I guess I'll talk to y'all later. Love you guys. Bye.